referenced to earlier, those officials at the Department of Justice and the FBI are given expansive authority and expansive powers to intrude on the privacy of private citizens. And that authority is tempered by long-standing traditions and norms and guidelines that largely avoid extensive public discussion of those investigations. Let me give you an example that I think will resonate with all of you based on your day-to-day responsibilities here at the White House. It is not uncommon for you, when you call the Department of Justice, asking them to even confirm that there's an investigation ongoing, for them to decline to do that. Typically, when you report about the fact that there's an ongoing investigation, that's not based on official confirmation you've received from an official at the Department of Justice. It's based on confirmation you've received from an anonymous official at the Department of Justice who's not willing to speak publicly about the case because it would be improper for them to do so. That, I think, in a way that we all, in a way that reflects the reality of the world that we all work in on a day-to-day basis, I think that underscores the sensitivity of discussing this information. Now, the other thing I think that's important to consider here is there's a tendency to say, with regard to this letter that was written on Friday, to say, well, Congress is independent, and they have their own independent oversight responsibilities to exercise over the Department of Justice. Well, let me say a couple of things about that. The first is the kinds of norms and traditions that limit the public disclosure of investigations don't supersede the oversight responsibilities or requests that are submitted by members of Congress. And the reason for that is simple. Congress is indeed independent of the executive branch, but they're far from impartial. Congress is made up of 535 politicians, Democrats and Republicans. And we've already seen, just in the last 72 hours, the kind of risk that's associated with communicating to them sensitive information. There's one senior Republican official who has already indicated, well, who had previously endorsed the Republican nominee for president, who let it slip that his party was considering impeaching President Clinton even before she's been elected, if she's elected. That's, I think, is a pretty clear indication that Congress is not at all impartial. That's why many of these norms, long-standing norms, that apply even when we're not talking about someone famous and even when we're not talking about an election being a week and a half away, that should apply. And the President believes that these norms are important and worth upholding.